Hello there, welcome to Genesis Models. My name is Bob Waldron and welcome to this tutorial. We're going to be looking at gluing photo etch to models. Lots of different ways of gluing things and when to glue them for the different kind of pieces. Going to start off with something kind of nice and sort of easy to kind of like those big pieces, i.e. if we just bring you in. And what we have here is some instrument display panels for a Spitfire 1/48 scale. Now these are nice and big, so we could do some big gluing. Now, when it comes to photo etch, super glue is nice. It will glue things instantly, but you wouldn't want something like that for this, because we've got to glue these onto here. And if it glues instantly and it's slightly off, you're going to have to peel that up and it's going to bend photo etch. So we want to use different types of glues. Now I'm going to just start off with a nice new one I've found just to kind of get you straight into something cool. What we have here is 3D printing resin, right? This stuff you can get off Amazon. They can range in different prices and different sizes. I think this is like a 1 litre one. I do kind of recommend, say, like a clear kind of resin as well. This is clear red, right, so you guys could see it a little bit better on camera, but like just pure clear would be good, just as well as it helps penetrate deeper with like the UV light, which I'll show you in a bit. So you could spend like £10 or something, but this will last you forever. So I've given it a bit of a shake, right, and we're just going to get out an old paintbrush. We can clean these paintbrushes up, by the way. Take the lid off and you'll probably find there's a nice bit of this 3D resin stuff going on in the top there, and that's all we need. So we're now going to take where we want to actually glue this. Right, so I'm just going to now just paint, literally we can just paint this where we want it to go, like so. Yeah, and then, right, simply we can place our piece of photo etch on top, and the cool thing is this resin isn't going to activate or do anything until we add UV light to it. So this is just going to move about loads, and you'll have just hours to kind of play around with it. Now I'm going to put the lid back on this, because if we're going to get UV light out, we don't want that kind of activating it on the paintbrush and stuff, which, by the way, if you want to clean up any sort of mess, kitchen paper towel and IPA, you should have that in your modeling arsenal. That will clean up paintbrushes and everything. It cleans up all this UV stuff. So I'm just going to go get a UV light. Now these, again, really sort of cheap. Get them off Amazon. I paid about £6 for this, and we get a really sort of cool UV light. So what we're going to do is we're going to position this with all the time in the world to position this into the perfect place. We could even get some clamps and lock it down, and then with our UV light we can basically just hold this. Probably start off with maybe say 60 seconds, going all the way around. Because we're using clear, it should hopefully penetrate a little bit deeper as well. So I'll just leave this for about 60 seconds. So after about 60 seconds going around the edges, we will find that this is now locked in position. Right, so that's a nice way of gluing things. Doesn't always work for everything, because next up we have where we show the instrument display panels coming through. Again, we don't want to use super glue, because if it doesn't line up we have to tear it off and sort of start putting bends in things. So microcrystal clear is a good one for this. Right, again we can use a paintbrush, right, and we can literally just paint this one all over like so. We don't have to worry about anything sort of looking messy at this stage. Right, so we painted that on, and again this one's just simply place this on top. Now because it is basically like PVA glue, right, we now have time to maneuver this in a position that we want it to be in. Right, so everything sort of lines up, but because it's microcrystal clear, we don't have to worry about the glue in the dials, because that really is just going to make them look nice and shiny. The only problem we've got to do is make sure it really does all line up. Now I do like to come in with, say, a cotton wool bud, maybe lick it to make it a little bit moist, and you could sort of go around the edges if anything sort of oozed out, which it hasn't in this case, but you could do that. We could go over the surfaces just to try and get maybe some of that microcrystal clear away from the dials. I mean, it doesn't matter if we leave it there, but I like to do it because it allows me to sort of see the dials a little bit better, just to maybe maneuver this to make sure all the dials are lined up with the Photo-etch. So as you can see, that is now looking pretty good. Oh, we've got a little bit of glue just on there. We want to remove that, and again, you've got plenty of time to play around with it. You just need to leave that to dry. It's not like UV where you instantly activate it and you can move on to the next thing. We do kind of need to leave this to maybe dry for half an hour before we move along. Now we move into some parts where we get really sort of dinky, and I kind of like to use the super glue in these instances. So I'm just going to get out just some sort of a lid, tile, something, just so as we can actually pour our super glue on. We don't want to be trying to glue this stuff straight from the bottle of super glue. Now there is lots of super glues out there that you can get, fancy ones for modeling and stuff, but I've learnt over the years that just cheap glue does the job just fine. Good one to get. RB Productions does do these super glue applicators for that precise applying. Hopefully you can see if we focus, it's got two little prongs on the end and it helps us glue stuff together. So we're going to take one of these small pieces, which I do just need to quickly bend into shape. So if I'll just get you on camera, move that out the way. Doing bends, we don't need fancy tools for these little things. Right, we could just sort of get it with some tweezers, get that bend to go over most of the way. Maybe come in with a second pair of tweezers and we can just close that down, maybe just line it up with your fingers or something. Right, but what we want to do now is just put that to one side. We want to get a little bit of super glue, and if we just bring where we want to place it, right, super glue, we've got to work quick, I know, but it's small parts, and if we just get that bit of super glue down quick, right on the spot where it needs to go, and then get the piece, and because it's so small I've already lost it. Here we go, and hopefully we'll get this on before the glue goes off, which is probably going to go off because you've just got to be so quick, but these things are just so small. Well, let's see if we've got some bite. We got a little bit of bite on there. Right, so we can sort of position that. We could maybe come in with a bit just underneath, if we can just get the prongs just slightly underneath, just to give that a little bit. And hopefully if we just test that and hold it, right, we've got a nice bit of Photo-etch on there. Because we're only dealing with little bits of super glue, if we slightly don't get it into position, we can sort of peel it off without much of a bend. You can use the other glues if you want to, but I do find with small pieces like that you want it to bite rather than it kind of droops or comes off or something like that. Super glue I do like, but I mean it's a personal preference, but I like that with small pieces. Super glue is also good with things like our, if I just get our seat belt, right, seat belts, if we just kind of get two tweezers together first. Super glue's good with these because seat belts, you don't want them to be flat. You want to kind of get your tweezers and put some bends into them. So if we don't quite position it just right, it's not a big deal because we are trying to deliberately bend them to give them that more of a natural look. So nice couple of bends in there. It just makes it a little bit better than just being flat. And what I like to do, another way of sort of gluing, is not actually coming with the applicator. If I bring our super glue back in, I'm just going to actually dip the tip of where I want this to be glued, Alright, so it's the piece I'm gluing first, and then I'm coming in with my seat, and it wants us to glue it about there, and I can just literally just hold that in position there, hopefully long enough for it to just bite down itself. There we go. And then what I like to do, once that's bit down, I do want to kind of make sure it is bit down, we can come back in with a super glue applicator, and what I like to do is I can then just sort of rub some glue on the opposite side like so, and then quickly come in with our tweezers just here, and we can sort of just bend and fold this over in a way that we want that seat belt to go over there, and maybe hold it down, right? And that's another way of gluing things in. So as you can see, there's lots of different glues to go off and use, and some are better for certain situations and some are better for the others. In the past I have used things like prick stick. You can just get like I don't use it anymore, but like you can just get a toothpick and just rub on the top of the prick stick, and you can glue stuff down that way, and it does have a bit more bite than things like our crystal clear here, but it still bites quite nicely. But I am liking the whole new using of things like this, using like 3D printed resin, and you can activate it with a UV light, just because you can put it where you want it, maneuver it, spend all the time in the world just maneuvering it and using the UV activation light to activate it when you've got it how you want it. I just find is actually quite useful when it comes to photo etch. But there's no one glue that you want for photo etch. It's pretty much, you know, as much glues, there's different types for the different ways of doing it. Just makes everything a lot easier. So that is our tutorial on gluing photo etch to your model. I did do a video, actually, a tutorial on actually cutting your photo etch off the fret, if you want to check that out on the Genesis Models website. But apart from that, my name is Bobby Waldron, this is Genesis Models, and I hope you've enjoyed.